Today on Kicks Chronicles. Today we talk life and kicks with the Croc hunter, the Croc king, Doogie Lish Sandtiger. He tells us how he became the unofficial record holder for having the largest collection of Crocs in the known universe. He also tells us how this whole thing started and how his unconventional upbringing led him to fall in love with those rubber clogs. We also find out if he wears anything other than Crocs. Like, does he wear Crocs to go on dates? Does he wear Crocs to go to church? Does he wear Crocs to go to work? He lets us understand and know. He spills all the beans. And lastly, he tells us what 2 pairs of kicks he'd take with him if he was stranded on a desert island. And I'll give you 2 guesses. This is Kicks Chronicles. Let's roll it. Let's roll it. Yes, my people, Big PROZECH back again, and you already know what it is, man. Episode 70. We're rolling, people. I'm saying that crazy train is running. Episode 70 of your Sneaker and Lifestyle podcast, Kicks Chronicles. Thank you so much for everyone that managed to catch our most recent episode with Jason Mack from Kicks Sneakers out in LA, doing his thing, man. Absolute legend. In the whole game. You get me? And I appreciate everyone that watched those videos, shared and liked and all of that sort of stuff. It really, really does help and go a long way. This week, we're talking to the self-proclaimed Croc hunter, Croc king. We're talking to Doogie Lish Sandtiger. Some of you may have seen him on Instagram. He's the guy. He's a little bit of a legend in the game and in the community. Unofficially, the world's largest Croc collection. And I say unofficially, but he's got it. He's got the record in the bag. The contact with Guinness Book of World Records has already been established. They're just waiting for him to do the paperwork. But like, my man he's a bit of a showman. He's trying to get to a crazy number, and then he's just gonna take that record. You get me? But the whole thing is amazing, sensational. In fact, we get into his humble beginnings, and we find out what essentially caused him to fall in love with Crocs. Like, why? And it's a really, really interesting story, because you might think, oh yeah, he just like, maybe it was a comfort thing, or maybe it was something else. Bro, it was born out of a really specific reason. Like, and we get into it. And I'm not going to spoil the podcast. You got to go and listen to it. But like, the guy gets into the nitty gritty, and it's a really, really understandable reason why he gets into Crocs the way he did. But obviously, he took it to a whole another level. You get me, on the whole thing. So yeah, shout out to Key and Peele with that. That was a deep cut for those that know. As you can imagine, we get into everything. We also even break down whether Crocs even form part of the sneaker community. He gives us his thoughts on that, because I don't know if you've heard, when it comes to sneakers and sneakerheads and the culture at large, sometimes we can be a little snooty, a little snobby. We can say, you know what, you qualify and you don't. You get me? And I'm sure he's faced some form of adversity as a result of that. But we get into it. And we also talk about the opportunities and his favorite pairs that have come about because of his affiliation with Crocs. Like, it's an interesting situation. It's just a circumstance. He's been on TV programs. Obviously, as I said, unofficially has a world record. So like, a lot of great things have happened to him as a result of this amazing pursuit of his. And we get into all of that. We also get into some quick fires, and he tells us what 2 pairs of kicks he would take with him if he was stranded on a desert island. And spoiler alert, he does select 2 pairs of Crocs. But contrary to popular belief, Crocs do more than clogs. Now, just letting you know, Crocs do more than clogs. And you'll be surprised as to what particular pairs he picks up, and make sure to listen out for that. Lastly, we talk about what it means to be a sneakerhead, and if loving Crocs the way that he does even qualifies him to call himself a sneakerhead. Very interesting take on the whole thing. All I can say about Doogie, beautiful, beautiful soul, amazing guy. just an absolute pleasure to talk to. Love to have him back on the podcast once again at some point in the future. Maybe when he hits that 5K, you get me, 4K, 5K. When he takes that official record, you get me, we'll have another chat with him. But he's doing amazing things and he's just a lovely, lovely guy. So I wish him nothing but love and success and happiness in everything that he does. I hope you find this interview interesting and entertaining. I had an absolute whale of a time talking to Doogie. And yeah, man, before we get into the interview, make sure to comment, like, subscribe to all of those great things. You know, we really do appreciate it. Kicks Chronicles 100 is fast approaching. I started reaching out to certain people. Thank you so much. All of the people that have come with suggestions, I really do appreciate it. Started reaching out. We'll see what happens. We only have 30 episodes left. 30 episodes left. You get me? It's becoming like a thing now. It's like it's real. 30 episodes less. Like that, it's going to be done. So yeah, definitely started reaching out and hopefully we can have some good news. I will let you know. I'll keep you updated as to our progress. Likes, comments, subscribes. Please, we really appreciate it. Need those on all the platforms. Only interested in 5-star reviews. And you know why. You know why. Let's not play that game. Let's not play that game. 5-star reviews only. Say what you want to say, but give me a 5-star. You hear me? Let it be under that 5 stars. You hear me? Or I'm not going to see it. Right? Kicks@gmail.com if you want to get in contact. And with all of that being said, I'm your boy PROZECH. This is Kicks Chronicles. And today our guest on the podcast is the amazing, the Crocalicious, Count Crocula himself, Doogie Lish Sandtiger. Enjoy. We're back again. Kicks Chronicles, another illustrious guest. He's the Croc King, the Croc Hunter. He is in our midst. The man with 3,000 Crocs in his collection. Deeper guy, man. I'm here with the one and the only Mr. Doogie Lish Sandtiger. First and foremost, this guy already needs to be famous with a name like that, right? But what are you saying, Doogie, man? What are you saying?
Listen, when you said 1,000, I was like, "Whoa, he's way off." But no, I'm 3,000. I actually bought 3 more pairs last night, so the new total is 3,082. We're getting close to the 3,100 pair mark. I'm excited about
3,082 pairs. 3,082. Just crazy. You gotta be living in some kind of mansion, or you've got to have some kind of facility for these Crocs, man. For a fact, yeah, I know you've got the most buoyant house in the yard. Because if there was a flood or kind of rain, you can just put all your Crocs together and just be floating on top of the water. Your house would literally rise above all of the water. It'd be crazy.
I've thought about that. If the world ever flooded, it was the end of the world, I would just melt all the Crocs together to form one massive boat that could carry me around forever until the end of time.
It would be a Croc Ark. And there would be animals in there, two by two.
Just like the original Ark, I'll have 2 of every pair of Crocs on there. That'll be my goal.
2 of every pair, one to rock, one for stock, right? That's how we do it. That's how we do it, bro. But bro, you know what? Like, first and foremost, man, I just gotta appreciate you, man, for honoring the invite. I know you're big in the game, man. I know Crocs is your deal. Obviously, this is a sneaker podcast, man. But you know, one thing that I said when I started this podcast is I want to talk to everybody. I want to talk to everybody. You get me? Like, and as we, especially as I'm getting older, I've got a little girl going to nursery. Crocs have become a bit of a thing in the household. Every one of us has a pair. You get me? Like, it's becoming more and more acceptable. And there was a time where it was a little bit of a taboo, but I think them days have passed. You get me, man? So when I saw your collection on Insta, I said, this is the guy. Respectfully, this is the man. This is the king right here. You get me? I got to put full respect on the name, and I wanted to reach out and make sure like that. We couldn't be a podcast talking about kicks if you're not including the Croc King. So yeah, I appreciate you, my bro.
I appreciate you reaching out to me, man. And one of the things is like, a lot of people don't see Crocs as part of like the whole entire sneaker community, but I'm like, they are shoes, they are footwear. Like at this point in the game, Crocs needs to be taken a lot more seriously than people do. People just are kind of brushing them off, but like they're up there at the top of the, especially with all their streetwear designs now. They're big, man, and they're only going to keep rising from here. So
Definitely.
I'm glad you reached out. They are definitely part of sneaker culture now. They're enshrined forever.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think, as I said, there were definitely a time where people looked at Crocs as sort of a little bit of a taboo, like more for like sort of your aunties or people doing like yard work or whatever. But slowly and surely, like the clog, especially sort of the classic clog, has worked its way into sort of the normal rotation of a lot of people, especially people of a certain age that maybe have to run errands during the day and just want something they can quickly slip on and just go, sort of thing. But yeah, like I could talk on riff about all that all day. What I want to understand from your perspective, right, is how did you fall in love with kicks in general? Like, because was it always clogs or was it always Crocs or did it start somewhere else? Like, how did you fall in love with kicks and clogs and did you fancy sneakers in the beginning? Like, talk to me, man. Where did it all start?
That's like a very layered question. It's gonna have a very layered response because actually, I hate regular shoes to this day. Like, not a Nike guy, not a Jordan guy. I've tried shoes my whole life.
Come on.
Even up until about 2019, I still tried other sneakers. I actually tried the Nike Freak Zooms, which was, I don't know if you're familiar with the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis. Yeah,
Giannis,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
worldwide
yeah.
now. So back then, I mean, so I'm a big Milwaukee Bucks fan, and I was like, you know what? I need to try something other than Crocs. And so I tried them, and I just, my feet didn't love them. And I tried another pair of them, and I actually bought a few of them. I was like, this is going to be my next thing. But so let's take it back to when I was a little kid. So when I was a little kid, I grew up in foster care, the foster system, and moving
Okay.
around from house to house, community to community, shelter to shelter. There was a lot of things that I didn't learn how to do. Like you figure when your biggest day to day is just surviving, you're not thinking about other
Mm,
things. Like I didn't learn how to cook, and I didn't learn how to tie my shoes. That was the biggest thing, was the tying of the shoes. So I hated shoes. I hated
I get
tying
you.
them.
I get
I
you.
hated trying to tie them. So I would always get the
Mm,
Velcro shoes. I don't know if they don't really do them as much as they used to, but I would do Velcro shoes or slip-ons when I was a
yeah,
kid. And as I
I
got
get it. I
older,
get it.
the example I give you is like, you ever meet somebody in real life, whether it's at a job or in a community, and you didn't catch their name or you forgot their name, and then like months and months and months and maybe even years later, you forgot, like you're too embarrassed to ask because like this whole time you've developed a relationship with them.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So it
I've
was kind of
fully
like
been there.
everybody has, right? So over all these years, I just never asked for help on how to tie my shoes. As I got older, it's embarrassing. Think about it. You're a teenager, you're in high school,
I get
you're
you. I get you.
I didn't want to get bullied. I didn't want to get made fun of. I didn't want to get laughed at. So I never
Mm,
told
mm.
anybody. And I was tired of I would stick my laces inside of my shoes because A, I didn't know how to tie them. And then B, as you get older, you can't keep wearing Velcro anymore because
Mm.
that's just not the move, man. So one day I was 16 years old. And it's funny that you said, when you were naming the people who used to wear Crocs back in the day, you said people gardening. That's how I saw my first pair. It was an old lady in my
Come
neighborhood.
on.
Changed my life, man. One day I'm just like walking around the neighborhood. She's wearing these bright purple Crocs. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, those are kind of cool, but also kind of ugly at the same time and silly. Like that's my vibe, is just like silly and just out there, you know? And then the kicker for me was there was no laces. It's just the strap. I was like, so I can
Yeah.
wear these And no one will ever know that I don't know how to tie my shoes. And no one will ever know. They'll never ask because this is like the new thing back then. So this was in 2007. So a long time ago when I got my first pair, plain black.
Jeez.
Originally, I was like, I'll just wear them to school. That's it. And then, you know, I ended up wearing them to the gym one day. Ended up wearing them to games. Ended up wearing them around the house. And then it started one by one. I don't want to use the word spiraling, but like, you know, it was a plain black pair. I was like, I want a red pair to match my red hat. I want a blue pair to match my blue hat. And, you know, I had a few here and there. And then in those years, I still tried other shoes, but I still could never just get over that hump of everything that led to that moment, right? I was still just had this anxiety and this dark cloud over my head of the not tying the shoes and the fear of it all and everything I went through. And they have that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I love the Crocs. I love the personality.
Yeah.
And then once they started adding the gibbets charms, come on now. Like, that's what come on now.
The gibbets.
That's what separates them from other shoes. It's like you could take this blank piece of art, right? I see them as art. Each croc or shoe or clog, however you want to call it, is a piece of art. And back then, when I only had a few pairs, I would rotate out the gibbets. So I'm like, man, today's an awesome holiday. It's Christmas. Let me put some Christmas gibbets on. Or it's Halloween. Let me put some Halloween gibbets on and make it this new theme. Or maybe it's my birthday and I want to have a pair that is blinged out in these gibbets that represent me. And then they started making all these themed pairs where now you don't need to just focus on individual gibbets. You can get all these pairs that are collabed or designed to be this way. And man, this has been the greatest and most fun journey of my life. And I mean, you're a sneaker guy too, so you get it. We all have that thing inside of our heart that puts us towards that passion, right? So like, it's been so much fun.
I get it, man. I get it. Now you can hear it in your voice, man. And this is one of the reasons why I love this podcast. So just speaking to people about their stories, man, because like you can hear the love and the passion in your voice, man, when you're talking about it. And the crazy thing about this is it started out of kind of a necessity. Like it started from a place of need. You didn't know how to tie your shoelaces and ultimately as people walking around, you don't think about that when you're sort of people are designing shoes, you don't think about it. You just assume everyone knows how to do these things, and there are people out there that obviously don't, and obviously there are things out there that like make sense in that regard if you're not inclined in terms of tying your shoes. So like it's perfect, makes sense. And the thing is, I think you caught a wave. I think you were definitely early, but I think you right now you're right in the middle of the trend and you're doing it, man, and you're the king. So it's like you know what I'm saying? You invested early. You're those guys that invested in Bitcoin and sold at the top. You're right in the crest of the wave right now. Just don't crap out, G. Just don't crap out.
Like for me too, like started like you said, like starting it early, Crocs have gone up, they've gone down. They were popular for a few years in the early 2010s, like 2008, 2009, 10, 11. Then they dipped for a while. And then I think they almost went bankrupt like a few years before COVID. But then they started this whole new brand rebirth and identity by doing collaborations with big time artists and big time names. Like I think one of their biggest collaborations was with Post Malone back in 2018. And that was like, whoa, if Post Malone is endorsing these. And it opened up so many other doors for them. And I think that's when people started taking Crocs seriously again. And then it dipped way back up. And then let's be honest, COVID definitely helped their sales. What perfect shoe or footwear for anybody in any profession to wear than Crocs? Because if you work in a hospital, if you work in a restaurant or whatever essential business you worked in that was open at the time,
absolutely,
you come home, you just spray them off with the hose or wipe them with a wipe, and you don't have to worry about messing them up or because they're rubber, right?
Yeah, that's the sickest thing about them, man.
It's
That
just
is I have to say that is the best part about Crocs is the fact that you never have to worry about like are they dirty, like because it only takes a few minutes for you to clean them. Like it's really like and like like all of the issues that we face in terms of like with kicks where you've got certain materials that are lower grade or lower quality than other materials, and you're worried about like how do I clean my suede, how do I rejuvenate my suede, how do I clean this scratch, with a Croc. Also, because of the price point as well, that's another point with Crocs. Because I mean, there are some quite expensive pairs. I'm sure you've got probably a few really expensive pairs, but like for the most part, they're like $30-$40, right? So it's like or 20-30 pounds. So like they're relatively cheap. So even if you did fully mess up a pair, you could just replenish. You can just buy a 3 or 4, and you know your colors, you know your style, you know your boom. Just buy 3 or 4 of them, just have them stacked there, ready to go, man. So yeah, definitely a vibe. But do you know what I want to do? Yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks for taking us all the way back. But like when you were growing up, like because you obviously mentioned about the Giannis and his kicks, but like when you go back in your mind's eye, what shoes were you seeing on people's feet? Like because obviously before Crocs came about, you must have been influenced in terms of the shoes that you would wear. So what did you see on people's feet?
So I don't want to sound like a hater, so just hear me out. But like I remember, remember
Come on, bro, bring it.
Converse had a big fad and phase where everybody wanted them. I remember the Converse All Stars. I remember I tried having those as a kid, but granted, they're half laces, so that was the hardest part to deal with those. But also, they were just so flimsy and impractical, and like getting so accustomed to just sticking my feet in Crocs and go and being on the go all the time. To me, that was so important, and you can't really do that with certain shoes like the Converse because you kind of got to like pull them up and then lace them individually, and it was a whole process. And then obviously, right, I mean, even now and back then, Jordans were always so popular, and I could never get into the hype. I could never get into it. I just hated how they made it so impossible to get. And because of just how big the name is and big that little big corner of the sneaker world is, I think the entire Jordan craze, it was like a domino effect on all of other sneaker culture where everyone's like, you know what, let's all make these limited editions, let's make a limited amount, and then it kind of just like boomed from there. And I even feel it to this day with Crocs. For a while they were doing like limited time release drops. We're only making 1,000 and everyone has to fight for scraps, and that's one of like the darker sides of sneaker culture that I absolutely don't like. And another reason why I love Crocs, like you said, they're cheaper than other shoes. Like people are always like, you really don't like these Jordans? I'm like, bruh, those retail for like $200 to $300. I can get like 4, 5, 6 pairs of Crocs for that one pair of sneakers. You know what I mean? So for me, it started as a practicality kind of thing. It's like, hey, I don't have any shoes, I don't have any clothes. Let me get a few that'll last me a long time, as opposed to this one that also another part of like the keeping it clean, like you said, like how do you keep these bright white shoes clean? You can't. You gotta like it's like you're walking on eggshells all the time, right? You can't. It would drive me crazy. Scuffing them
You
and
can't
getting
do it.
dirt on them.
That's why people stop. They don't wear them, bro. People just stop wearing them after a while. Just stop wearing the shoe and just put it on the wall and just leave it there.
Dagger in my heart and soul, because that's another thing that people ask me. Do I actually wear them? And to me, I'm like, of course I wear them. Like, I buy. It's like, why would you buy clothing not to wear it? That is the point. And the point of life is living it and enjoying it.
100%.
Granted, listen, it's okay if maybe you have like 1 or 2 super special, meaningful pairs that are meant to just hang on your mantle, or you know what I mean. We all have that one, but well, I usually get 2 of that one to rock, 1 to stock, so that way I can enjoy it. But to me, they're meant
Love
to be
that.
worn, right? They're meant to be worn and enjoyed and adorned and loved and appreciated. It's art, right?
Art you wear. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
art you wear, art on your body that let your personality shine, and with over 3,000 pairs, you know, I try to cycle through them. So like I have my weird method of making sure I get use out of them. It's like when I wake up, I'll wear a pair just for like lounging around the house, right? Then I'll switch out another pair for walking the dogs, and then I'll switch out another pair if I'm going to the gym. And then, hey, let's say I need to run some errands. Well, I need a new fresh pair to run the errands, so I'll do that. And then if I have work or school or whatever I got, social events, every time there's a different event in the day, I switch it. So sometimes I could wear like 5, 6, 7, 8 different pairs in a single day, that's part of the fun of it. It's like this chaos, controlled chaos that I
Doogie,
love.
right? Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question, bro?
Yeah.
Right. If you're going out on a date,
Would I wear Crocs?
right?
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely. Listen, this is my one thing. If you take away just one thing from this conversation, it's that I don't believe in
Come on.
suppressing your true self for anybody or anything or any entity. I want people to know what they're getting. When I interview for a job, I wear Crocs. When I go to a wedding, I wear Crocs. If I'm in the wedding party, I wear Crocs. And if you don't like that, then I'm not the person for you, and this isn't going to work out. I'm not asking for anything insane. I'm not asking for much. My Crocs are part of my personality. They're part of what makes my heart beat. I'm going to wear them. And let me tell you something. Rest in peace to my grandmother. She passed away a few years ago. I was a pallbearer at her wedding.
Rest in peace.
And you bet I wore Crocs carrying her casket. I wore her favorite color, which is red, right? I wore bright red Crocs to honor her, and she wouldn't have had it any other way. And I made people smile. And that was like at the end of the day. I made myself smile, and I made everybody around me smile. I'll even, a couple years ago, I was my brother got married, and I was in the wedding party, and there's this new trend going around where a man is the flower girl, right? So this was something him and I had. It sounds crazy, but I know it's a thing over here in the U.S. I don't know where else in the world, but it's catching on. It's supposed to be fun and trendy and supposed to make people happy. But this is actually a good segue, because be the flower girl in a wedding was on my bucket list, which also directly correlates to Crocs. But before we get into that, I just want to say so while I was the flower girl in his wedding, I had these ridiculous platform, shiny flower print, colorful Crocs that I wore, and I danced around, and everybody had a great time, man. I can't even, like, reliving that moment. Like, since we were little kids, we always talked about how it was on my bucket list. And he was like, oh, when I get married, you're definitely going to be my flower girl. And then 10, 20 years later, finally live it out and to dance in Crocs. It's like you can't, those moments to me are so precious, and they're so deeply like intertwined with the Crocs, which is why it's part art and part personality. You fuse it together. And that's where all this, like you said, you can hear it when I talk, because I get so joyous remembering these awesome times and times to come and how it makes me feel. And listen, we're here for a short time in the grand scheme of things. I'm not changing for nobody. And this is
I respect it, bro. I respect it, man. Life is tough out here, bro. Life is tough out here, man. I think that's one thing that that especially COVID and and everything that's happened since has taught us, man. Life can be stressful, it can be tough, and if there's anything in your life that gives you a little bit of pleasure and doesn't hurt anyone else, man, bro, go at it with everything that you have in you, bro. Just give it everything that you got. So I'm here for it, bro. You get me? I'm fully here for it, man. Do your thing, live your best life. You get me? And wear the hell out of them Crocs, G. We love it. This is it, bro. I'm a big believer in that, man. I think the truth is, yeah, right? just as human beings, naturally we try to box people up and we try to put people in pigeonholes, and you're that type of person and you're this type of person and you're this and this is your name and this is how you're to be known or whatever. But people are fluid and people are different, and just people just like different stuff, man, and just like it just is what it is. As long as it's all within reason and we're not hurting anyone, man, live your life and wear them Crocs, G. I'm here for it, bro.
And that's like why I love them so much. It's just like, so they're one of their biggest slogans or mottos is "Come as you are," and if you break that down, it just literally means be you. Come as you want to be, as how you believe in yourself. And I agree. Like if you're not hurting anybody and you're just trying to make the good vibes and spread the love and spread the good vibes, I don't see anything wrong with it. And that's like one of my answers. Like when people like they ask me if I will wear anything else, I have no reason to. And my inner circle and the people who are close to me know that if he can't wear Crocs, he's not going. What is like, and they respect that. They understand that the whole Croc thing is
Have to respect that.
transcended above and beyond like my wildest imaginations or what anyone could think. It started out as that kid in foster care that couldn't tie his shoes. And then it led into the bucket list where as I started collecting them one by one, I believe, like 550 something things. You're familiar with the bucket list? Yes?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So not everybody is. So I was like, people, what's a bucket list? Well, it's just things you want to do in your life. And it sounds so bleak when you say what I want to do before I die, but me, really, it's what I want to do while I'm here, right? I want to enjoy my time here. So these are the things that I want to accomplish. And I wrote that when I was a kid going through those hard times in foster care because I needed something to believe in, right? I'm a little kid. I have no adult figures that are supporting me. I had no support system. I had no idols. So I was like, let me find something, even if it's just a pipe dream, if it's a wild thing that'll keep me motivated. And there was some small things like I wanted to graduate high school. There was, that's like to most people, that's just like normal everyday behavior. It's a normal life event. But for me, it was so huge. And as I continued writing this list, I was like, what would be the coolest thing in the world to me? Do the Guinness World Records. Like when I was a kid, every classroom, every library, that was the hottest book, right? You would like flip through the pages. You'd see all these colorful things and these people that you're like, that's insane. How did they do that? I want to be cool like them. I want to be in this book too. So like, it was kind of a partial joke. I was like, because at the time it just seemed so impossible. I wanted to own 366 pairs of Crocs. That was my original goal. And when you're a kid and money is scarce,
one for basically every day of the year.
Every day of the year, including a leap year. Because guess what? 2024 is a leap year. And people always say, why 366? I need a pair for February 29th, right? Can't leave February 29th out.
I get it.
So as I continued collecting and growing up and living my life and crossing things off the bucket list, I remember one day I finally reached the 366 pairs of Crocs, that was the bucket list thing. Crossed it off. I'm like, what's my next adventure? And then I'm flipping through the pages of the book, and one of them is like, Breaker set a Guinness World Record. And I was like, well, what is the world record for Crocs? So I went on their database, which is, you can easily Google, find online. They have the list of every single record that's ever been either submitted or beaten, etc. And there was none for Crocs on there. I was like, whoa, that is so cool. And I was like, okay, so I could basically submit right now and win. It's basically like winning an election unopposed, which I didn't think was cool. I was like, I want to make it a little more hype. So I kept collecting. I kept collecting. And then finally, for some reason, I hit 744 pairs. And I reached out to them. I was like, is that enough for the record? And they had gotten back to me. They're like, no one has submitted yet. And you'd be essentially running unopposed still. But we recommend you resubmitting when you hit 1,000, just because it's just like, it would look cool for the record book and yada, yada, yada. So I wasn't that far away from 1,000. So I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. Let me do it. So I hit 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what are like other collection records? And then you go and like the person with the most shoes in the world has like 15,000, and seeing like all the other collections in the book, I was like,
Jeez.
1,000 ain't nothing. Let me keep going. And then I hit 2,000.
Come on.
And then I was like, I'm going to submit at 2,000. Guess what? When I hit 2,000, I said, that's not enough. Let me submit at 2,500. I got to 2,500.
Jeez.
And I still said, nah, I got to keep going. I want to see where this will take me. And then just recently, I believe December of 23, I hit the 3,000 mark, which I had reached out to, or Guinness had actually reached out to me a few months back. They wanted me to submit again. And I told them, all right, for real this time, 3,000. But then 3,000 came and went so quick with all these new drops and all this new hype. So
Jeez.
I haven't resubmitted yet again, so I'm gonna wait. I don't even know, maybe 3,500, maybe 4,000. But when I hit those, I might say 5,000. I might say 6,000. Listen, I'm ready to take this to the moon. This is my life. This is my lifestyle.
I'm here for it, bro. So I think we can unofficially say at least, right, that you are a Guinness World Record holder without a shadow of a doubt. Because if it's unopposed, right, I mean, I did have a quick look on Instagram. I didn't see anybody with 3,000 pairs of Crocs in their yard. So I'm saying, I think you are fair. I think it's almost fairly certain that you're running solo in this race. This is you versus you at this point. So yeah, unofficially, the Guinness World Record holder, man, which is cool, man. And as soon as you're ready to drop that, yeah, man, they're gonna have to just give you that. What do you get with a Guinness World Record, man? Do you get a little bit of money? Did they give you a little title belt or something? I don't know. What did you get with a Guinness World Record?
Honestly,
Did they give you a Guinness?
I'm hoping they at least give me a copy of the book for free. That's the least they could do. But I mean, to my knowledge, it's just you get a certificate, you get the recognition. And to me, that means more than anything, just because once I get that certificate,
I get it.
like it'll feel like this entire journey that I've been doing for decades at this point, or by then it'll be decades, because I think I started it in 07, so it's been like 16 or 17 years. But to cross it off my bucket list, like just like I can like transport myself back to when I was a little kid, like a teenager writing down these silly goals of mine, like being the Guinness, that's not going to actually happen. But I could put it on there to make me feel better. And the fact, 10,
That's
20,
so cool.
25 years later to say like I survived and I did this and I held on, that to me, that is what the bucket list is about. And especially like those big important ones like the Croc stuff and the stuff because some of them are so easy and so simple, like buy $1,000 bottle of champagne. Like that's just so simple and so silly. But it's just that spark in me to be like, I wanted to do this and I did it. And that's, again, what life is all about. Having fun, committing to things. It's the journey to get there. It's the journey and everything involved. And then it's like once I have that book, whether say in 2 or 3 years, Guinness 2026, 27, and I'm flipping through it. I see my face in there. I see my collection in there. And it's like this full circle melancholic moment where I'm like, I remember little kid me on the streets, in the library, going there. I like to read and seeing these books and idolizing these books. And then to see me in there, to me, that is worth it alone, man. They don't got to pay me nothing. I mean, if they wanted to pay me,
I love it.
sure, I'll take
I
it.
love
But
it. Talking about money, man. Like, if you got 3,000 plus pairs, like, how much would you say your collection is worth in terms of monetary value?
in
I know
terms of
some of them are probably priceless, but like, if you were to put a number on it,
so last time I got it appraised, this was, I believe, I think it was October of 20, and it was recently. but it was a lot. Before I tell you the number, don't freak out. I want to say that the appraisal encompasses the entire collection, which is not just the Crocs. It's all I collect
Okay.
Crocs memorabilia, Crocs backpacks, Crocs trinkets, Crocs vintage clothing, like everything, things you wouldn't even think of. They used to make pens and pencils and employee only merch and lunch boxes and purses and this and that. So everything combined, it's worth over
Got you.
$500,000 US, which I don't know what that is in yeah. It's a big investment, man. And I've spent a good chunk of change. I have some of the rarest pairs on the face of this earth. I have some of and a lot of the super, super, super crazy rare ones. I have two of. One to rock, one to stock. So it's just this whole museum and archive
Bro.
of just art, man. Like like you know who's
Nah.
one
Half a mil on Crocs.
but
Wild.
which sounds like a lot, but
Half a mil on Crocs.
hear me out. Hear me out for 1 second. Another in the so you're a sneaker guy, so you probably know some big names in sneaker culture. Like Drake is huge in the sneaker world. I don't know if you know
Mhm.
PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is an NBA player. He
Yeah.
played
Huge.
yeah. So him,
Yeah.
have you ever seen he's one of my idols in like the footwear community. Just this dude, I believe, has 5,000 pairs of shoes now, but he literally bought a whole
Yeah.
second house.
He's wild.
He bought
Yeah.
a second house just for his
Yeah.
crop.
Yeah.
That is, to me, that's A, insane, but B, awesome and hilarious all at the same time. And he's my idol for that, and I love it. And so imagine what his is worth, man. 5,000, and he gets like,
I have to put that. I have to respect that. Well, this is it. So this is another question I wanted to ask. I mean, and we'll get into this. I mean, there's a part of the interview that I like to call the EST of KIC, is where we talk about sort of the oldest, newest, the greatest pairs in your collection. And I think it might be a great place for us to sort of talk about some of the pairs that you really enjoy the most. So, like, I mean, doing my research, I came across, obviously there's like I think like just there's some obvious like ones that people know about, like the McQueens and the Shrek. I think the Toy Stories are coming out of they've come out. Apparently SpongeBob's as well, pretty big. Like the ones where there's a lot of like collaboration. KFC is a massive one.
big
Apparently
one.
that's a huge one. I heard. I saw your piece with 2 Chainz on the most expensivest, and it smells like chicken apparently, which is wild. Like then you've got the Mischief Big Yellow Boot as well, the Big Yellow Croc as well. Like what are some pairs that you're really really proud of, or that just sort of like you really really enjoy?
Woo, man! There's so many, but I will say probably the silliest possible pair that I can't get enough of are the Mischief collab, the Big Yellow Crocs, Big Yellow Boots, Big Red Boots, whatever you want to call them. They're just, to me, they're so iconic, and I think they're unlike anything Crocs has ever done before. I mean, Mischief is already a very out there controversial
Very cool.
brand that does some cool and weird stuff, and those yellow boots, to me, like, it's just they're everything that Croc encompasses. They're weird, they're silly, and kind of like they turn heads. You're like, what? So I like to wear those for like big events that I do. They're not practical to wear regularly all the time. Let's be real, but they are
Right,
awesome.
yeah.
Now some of like, I got to get into one of the most expensive pairs that I own. It's collaboration with Takashi Murakami. He's a Japanese artist, and a lot of people know him from like he does a lot of flower
Massive.
designs. Yeah. So if you Google him, you'll see a lot of his work. But
Mm-hmm.
so they collabed in 2019, and his pair was exclusive to ComplexCon, which I'm sure you're familiar with in the sneaker world. So they were only
Wow.
available through
Yes,
ComplexCon
of course,
2019, and he also released a Gibbets pack with 3 Gibbets that come in it. And so even the Gibbets pack alone, just because of how rare they are and because of who Crocs collab with, that alone goes for about $500 just for one 3-pack, which already is like insane. Think about it, Gibbet, how tightly, right? So if you do the math, if you're wearing them out, 100, that's 100. Jesus, I'm bad at math. That's like 100, what, $33 per Gibbet? Or no, way more than that. I don't know, whatever. But
170 or something like that,
yeah.
180. Yeah. Per Gibbet.
So, like, if you're
Crazy.
One of my fears, like, I've never actually worn the Gibbets out. I will not take the Gibbets themselves out of my house because Gibbets do pop out here and there. So I was like, imagine if one of those popped out. You can't buy them singularly. You have to buy the whole pack again. And I already have 4 packs, 2 on each clog, and then 2 in just perfect condition sitting, behind a shelf. So I like things like that. Like that collab was huge to me. I mean, there's so many. I remember my 100th pair was this collaboration with a streetwear brand in New York City called A Life New York. And it's hard for me to
big up. I like A Life.
Okay, so you know A Life. So they've had a few different collaborations with Crocs, but one of their most iconic ones to me, it was so different. It's called I forget the name exactly, but it's like the New York landmarks pair or something of that nature. But basically, it's literally an art piece. It's one of like the first times Crocs and someone they've collaborated with created a piece that were like, nah, these aren't meant to be worn at all. These are literally meant to sit on your shelf. And that's why I wanted it for my 100th pair. And if you look them up, like the Gibbets are so massive, like they're impossible to wear. One of the Gibbets is like the Manhattan Bridge, and it connects. It goes from the left shoe to the right shoe. So you literally can't wear them out because of, it connects them together. And there's like all these, there's the Empire State Building, and there's like the Statue of Liberty, and they're just so massive, and they're meant to be, that's an actual true art piece. So that one is one of my favorites. It was very hard to get, very hard to come by. And even the KFC, like, I hate to be cliche and say that's one of my favorites, but to me, that was like when Crocs really branched out into wacky tacky. Like, we already knew they were like the odd shoot, like it's like the brother that everyone's like, oh, that's the weird brother, and like, so all the bigger brands like Nike, Reebok, Adidas,
the weird cousin or something.
Yeah, the weird cousin. But then, so now they come out with this pair. It's a collaboration with a fast food fried chicken chain, and now they've somehow incorporated the Gibbets. Like, if you've seen them, they're massive. They're actually like to scale, real size chicken wings and chicken legs, and then they smell. How do they do it? What did they do? Like, it's crazy. And that was one of the moments where it was like a turn for me when I realized that Crocs was not here to play, man. Like, as dumb as it may seem to some people, like, the amount of effort it took to bring that collaboration to life behind the scenes was probably so insane. And for people to put all that work and all that passion into it, that means something, man. That is art in and of itself. All that. And
massively.
I love it, man. I love it. But there's so many good pairs. So many, like, I'm sure you've seen the cowboy boots that came out for this past Croctober. Oh man,
I was gonna ask you about that. I was gonna ask you about the cowboy boots because you were getting down. You were having a little bit of a hold down in them cowboy boots, a little bit of a line dance. You get me, man? You were feeling yourself in the cowboy boots.
I love them, man. Oh my goodness, they're like, so that was part of. So every October, Crocs has this whole Croctober campaign because October 23rd is National Crocs Day, and that's like their birthday. That's when they were created. They just turned 21 because they were birthed October 23rd of 2002.
Really?
Yes. So this past October, am I doing the math right? I think I'm doing the math right. 2002 to 2023. Yeah, so 21
Sounds
years.
about right.
So for their 21st, I think that's why they wanted to go like absolutely outside the box, Crocs fans have been asking for cowboy boots for years, and there's been a lot of like fan made like cowboy boots and memes and like Etsy projects that have gone viral over the years. And this time they're like, let's make it a reality. Let's do it. And it was kind of like an ode and honor to the fans.
Come on now.
It's just and like with the little spurs in
Nah,
the
man,
back, they
I'm, you know
spin.
what? Yeah, yeah, wild, so funny. It's
Telling
so
you,
funny, man. Like, because the
there's a
thing
pair
is,
of Crocs for
like,
everybody.
you, like, this is the what I was just saying. That I feel like it is an extension of like almost like your inner child, almost like just finding that expression. Because I think, and sort of, we'll talk about sort of your Salehi Bembury's and that collaboration a little bit later. But like, when it comes to sort of these cross collaborations with TV programs or fast food chains or things of that nature and other designers, it really seems that people sort of just go like wild when it comes to Croc, because it doesn't feel real in terms of its ability to actually be worn and used. It feels like it's a completely blank canvas. You can throw anything on it and people are just gonna wear it that way, sort of thing. So I suppose from a designer's perspective, it definitely gives them a lot of freedom to be able to sort of like just go at it and do what you want. And it seems like Crocs encouraged that. It really seems like Crocs really sort of just say to their collaborators, yeah, just go wild. And like, it's just more eyes on the brand and more eyes on the product. So I think it's very, very cool. But what I alluded to earlier is one of the things that sort of breached, sort of, well, when I say breach, I'll sort of say bridge, I should have said. One of the things that sort of bridged the world of sort of Crocs and clogs and sneakers is the designer Salehi Bembury. Obviously famous for his collaboration at New Balance, and recently his collaboration with Crocs, with the Polex, and the Polex clog, which dropped at I think it was last year or the year before, almost looks like a fingerprint. Very, very cool take on the clog. Like, and it brought a whole raft of sneakerheads over to clogs. A lot of people that were swearing off clogs that I know jumped on that wave when the Polex came out. So I was here for it. And now I'm seeing, obviously, the Juniper is set to come out at some point as well. So Crocs are venturing into actual sort of sneakers and footwear, and it looks like a good shoe. 100%. I can't deny it. It looks like a decent shoe. Looks super, super comfortable. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Salehi Bembury and the whole Polex collaboration?
I've been so excited when they brought him on, because he also obviously worked on the Yeezys, right? And the Yeezy line, and he did a lot of good work there. And to me, I was like, those are so different. And I was like, when he came to Crocs, I was like, uh-oh, they're cooking up something great here. And then, so it was 2021 now.
Cooking.
So 3 years ago was when they announced the first two pairs. It was the green, they called it cucumber, and then there was the brown, it was Menemsha. And when those were first introduced, I was like, this is it, man. This is real art. And I knew that they were going to be darn near impossible to get. And we were all right for a while. Just the hype and how limited it was, and also Salehi's background and what he had done for sneaker culture and streetwear and the community and in general. So that bringing that hype over to Crocs, I knew that they were going to be cooking for years to come. And then as, 22, 23, we got all these different new colorways that made it so fun and exciting. And I think adding a big name like Salehi to the roster, I think that, because like, so let's pause for a second. When I mentioned people like Post Malone before, people still weren't really taking Crocs seriously because he's like this
Mm-hmm.
big outlandish figure in the music and rap world and such. But they're like, oh, that's such an easy collaboration. But then when you have somebody who's serious in the sneaker culture and sneaker community
Mm.
as Salehi come, I think that's when like big top names started actually taking them seriously. And now when you see like people like LeBron James is
Massively.
out there wearing Crocs, you see 2 Chainz out there repping the Pollux. Like when you see them all wearing the Pollux, you're realizing that people are taking it more seriously, and I love it. And the fact that then they went from the Pollux clogs, now then they branched out with the slides, which a lot of people are bigger into slides, so that opened up a
Oh,
whole
the slides were good.
the slides they're beautiful, and the way they're designed and everything about them. And then like I had a feeling that they were going to venture into the shoe game eventually, like they had to, because we all know, like we see, especially like I see what he drops with like New Balance, like they're beautiful designs and things like that. It's just me being the no shoelace guy that I am, the clog wearing monster. Obviously, I stay away from that. But for the junipers, I don't know if you've seen both colorways that he has showcased. I've put them on my Instagram, but they are absolutely beautiful. Like I am willing to take a class on how to tie shoes just to wear those, man. Just to wear. They are beautiful looking, and I like to me this is so cool that the hanging tag, the sneaker tag that's on it, is built to be part of the shoe. That's why it's hanging. And I think he mentioned something on his socials, Salehi, that, and this is my interpretation of it, is like when you see a pair of shoes hanging on the shelf, it's usually, especially Crocs, their hangers are bright green, which is like the Crocs iconic color, and it kind of takes away from the shoes. And it's basically saying that like if you're looking at it from an art perspective, these shoes are hanging from this hanger. Like these shoes cannot exist, or these clogs cannot exist. They can't hold up on their own without physically being on that hanger. So the way Salehi, his brain and his entire team came up with the idea of, we're going to reverse engineer the tag and actually make the tag hanging off the shoe itself, and leave that as part of the feature and part of the style, to showcase like that we're serious, that this shoe can hold its own, stand on its own. And to me, it's a big metaphor for the sneaker community in and of itself, and that is what gets me going. It's like when you go to a museum and you see a painting on the wall, you're kind of analyzing it for all these things, and like that's another reason why I see Crocs and the sneaker community as art, because like here's me analyzing literally a tiny tag. It's so small, but I just gave you this whole speech on what it means to me, or what it probably meant to the design team, and it just shows like that people actually care. Like a lot of thought went into something so little. Think about that. Like putting that little tag to have it hang off the shoe, so it's not the focal point. So you're embracing and loving the shoe itself. To me, it's like this wonderful mind game where it gets you to really think about the product. And I really hope that this is like the Pollux line, where for years to come they keep releasing new colorways, because the both, whoo man, those are going to be heat when those come out. They're going to be impossible to get. They're going to be on StockX for $1,000. Trust me, it's not going to be pretty, that release. So, woo!
You need to figure out how you're gonna cop those. But like, as I say, great segue, because like considering how big you've been for Crocs, like, do Crocs reach out? Do they acknowledge your collection? Do they speak to you, and do they hook you up with the inside and the, you know what I'm saying? Like, they hook you up with a couple pairs, man. Like, we got this new pair coming out, this new Salehi Bembry Junipers, man. Let's get Doogie a pair, man. Let's seed him with a pair, man. You know, his socials is up, man. Let's get him a pair. Do they do that for you?
So there's 2 parts to that. There are certain pairs they will send me, but then like when like the Salehi ones come out, I just crickets from them. But it's okay, because I don't want to, like, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just trying to get every Croc I can. But no, I mean, think about it. I'm like a walking billboard for them. I have a big reach, and I have a huge presence in the Croc community and on Croc social. So to them, it's essentially, it's free advertising. And now the other side to it is that me being the Croc Hunter, that new nickname that I've adopted, it's like I'm always searching for new Crocs, and a lot of times, unfortunately, I come across leaks, and there's always people who work in the back rooms and they'll take pictures and they'll send it to me or they'll send it to somebody and then they go viral. So I'm always finding all these unannounced collabs, and I'm just so happy and giddy to post them. So I'll post them, and then Crocs, they'll message me like, "Hey, we're not ready to announce them yet. Can you take them down?" But they usually they'll be like, "Listen, apologize, but we're
Jeez.
gonna send you those for free." And they've done that with a bunch of them. And it just, one of my favorite ones recently that they did give me for free was actually the cowboy boots from October. They had messaged me. They were like, "We're doing this
Nice.
whole Croc Star campaign where we're repping all of our favorite rock stars, aka Croc stars." And the coolest part about all that, which we didn't even touch upon, was they, I guess, like, there's a star database for all the stars in astrology in the sky, and you can buy stars, aka adopt them, where you get to,
Oh.
where you get to name them. So
Mm-hmm.
Crocs went out and bought, I don't know what it was, like 100 stars for like their biggest influencers as part of that campaign, and they sent us all a free pair of the boots, which came with the
Wow.
Croc Star gibbets on them, and then they, like, on the star database website, like, you can actually look it up, and I actually did. They had posted a link to it, and you can hover over the stars with the coordinates, and it'll tell you which one's your star. And I got to name it, so I named it Croc King Doogie. So I thought that was really cool. It was like it's such a strange present from a company, but it's like so unique. It's so different. It's so cool, and it was a nice gesture. They
Very,
didn't
very
have to
cool.
send me the boots for free, but they did. Like the McDonald's, that entire line they sent me every now and then. I remember there was this one time, um, this was a few years back, maybe like 2020 or 2021. They just sent me this gigantic box of like 20 something pairs. And I was like, whoa, that is so cool. And that's kind of like when we really started developing our relationship. And now I don't know. I think it's
Mm.
mutual. I love it. I don't mind. It's like I'm repping a brand that I actually like. It's not like a lot of people will rep brands just because they'll peddle money at them and say, "Hey, can you advertise for me?" And like, you don't really want, like, me. This is
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
Like, I actually enjoy wearing the Crocs. Like I said, I'm a literal walking billboard because of some of the unique pairs I wear. Like, even like the Shrek ones. I could wear those out and I'll get a million people smiling
Mm.
and asking me questions and taking pictures, and it's so much fun for me, man. It's so much fun. And like you said, with the part of it is nostalgia, part of it's your inner child, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everybody connects to that. And if you
Mm.
don't connect to that, you're not a real human being. And that's why people love it.
No, I agree. I agree, man. I agree, and I think, yeah, Crocs have done a great job of sort of moving out of that sort of just that functional piece into a sort of a more, I wouldn't say aspirational, but at least a more sort of fun and functional. Like they put the fun in functional when it comes to Crocs. They put the fun in
Absolutely.
functional. What I wanted to ask you was, are there any brands or collaborators out there that you would love to have a clog or a croc collaboration? Any that you've got an inkling or think, if these people got together with Crocs, they'd be able to cook up something amazing?
Well, I think I've always wanted them to redo the sports collaborations. And like, what I mean by that is, years and years and years
Mm.
ago, they did some like smaller pairs, like they did like a New York Yankees pair, very old model, very old design, very limited. But then I was like, yo, they now
Okay.
that Crocs are big again, I really hope they like take the sports game seriously. And then now you see recently they did all these NBA collabs. One of the ones I've always wanted for my whole life was the Milwaukee Bucks, and whoa, those finally came out. Like, that to me was the biggest dream come true. I lived through so many years of the Bucks being garbage, and then they're finally good, and now the world is paying attention. And there's a very viral, iconic photo of me laying, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's on my Instagram, like laying down like this in a pile of my Crocs, surrounded by Crocs in one of my Croc closets. And in that photo, I'm wearing a Giannis jersey. So I'm like, man, if I could go back in time and wear the Bucks Crocs with them, that would have made it complete. But now I can just recreate it years later with a much bigger collection. So I'm really
Yeah.
happy with the NBA line. They did the NHL line, and I'm really hoping now, like NFL, come on now, football, huge American football where I'm from, and who knows where that may lead to. Bigger, I mean, they're big on their international audiences as well. So who knows? Maybe some. I call it soccer. I don't know. You guys call it football, I think, and everywhere else in the world. But maybe bigger collaborations with. I honestly, I can't even name a single soccer team, but I guarantee that if it comes out, I will get it. I know that there's that soccer guy that's married
I
to
respect that. I
one of the
respect that,
Spice
man.
Girls, so maybe they'll do a collaboration with one of his teams or something. So
Oh, yeah,
David
David
Beckham, that's
Beckham.
what it.
So
David
yeah,
Beckham.
David Beckham with
There we
Enter
go.
Miami. I could imagine. Yeah, yeah. I could imagine. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to start with the MLS, right? So they started with Major League Soccer and got Messi to wear a pair of Crocs. That would be
The world would
crazy.
go
That would be a great start.
insane.
But yeah, man,
And yes,
that
I
would
would
be
buy them.
nuts.
I would
That would be crazy.
absolutely buy
That
them.
would be crazy.
Absolutely.
I'm done with no doubt whatsoever. No doubt whatsoever. Bro, like we're wigging our way to sort of the end of the interview, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart, like this has absolutely been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. I want to ask you a bit of a weird question. So actually I'm gonna ask you two weird questions. And one of them I'm gonna apologize for because it is a little bit naughty, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure, right? If your house was burning down and you could only grab one pair,
Woo!
what are you taking?
Wow. Dagger into my heart and soul. It's practically
Now, this for most people, this would be a difficult question, but I can imagine for you it's almost impossible. So I do respect that. But yeah, please
here.
continue.
I'm going to answer in the most appropriate way I know possible because I don't want to offend my Croc collection. I think so. If the house is burning down, my usual pairs for lounging around the house are slides. So I would just grab the first pair of slides. They don't have to be a good pair. And then I'd grab all four of my dogs and I'd run out the house. Let it burn. Crocs can be bought back.
Respect it.
Memories will always be there, but my dogs come first.
I respect it. Man. Dogs come first, man. We got to respect it for the dogs. You get me? For life. So, the next question I'm gonna ask is a little bit different. It's called Desert Island Kicks, right? And I usually ask this obviously to people about sneakers, but I want to get your perspective when it comes to the Crocs. If you were on a desert island and you had two pairs of Crocs, there's two pairs of Crocs, right? Now, what two pairs of Crocs would you have on this island and why?
Okay, so again, this is going to be more practical as I'm thinking I'm on a desert island. That means I'm probably going to be stuck there a while, and that means either my boat sank or my plane crashed and I survived, so it's all about survival. So definitely a pair of the mellow slides. It doesn't matter what color, whatever color I pat, maybe plain black or white. Nah, because white would get way too dirty in the sand. And nah, so we'll do a plain black mellow slide because I don't know how long I'm going to be there, but I want to be super comfortable. And then for all other practical purposes, I would probably need one that I don't want a lot of water getting into. I'm probably going to go fishing. I'm probably going to have to endure rain and other elements. So we'll go with one of their waterproof winter boots, preferably probably one of the high top ones. That way, so like I'm trying to survive out here, right? And is that part of the or does it, I'm assuming everybody has a different answer for like thought
Get it?
process for this. The mellow slides are the most comfortable. Like the technology they used in them, they call it mellow, which is different than the regular cross slide or the Pollux. And like, if I'm surviving on a desert island, you got to have those. And then, like I said, I want to be prepared for the other elements. So some waterproof boots, Croc boots, got to have them. There's a lot of good ones that just came out recently. The Echo boots and the Stomp boots. Highly recommend the Stomp boots, by the way, too. They're amazing.
I respect that. This question is a bit of a window into the minds of our guests, understanding their thought process and how they think and how they sort of tackle these types of tasks. So very, very interesting, and makes a whole load of sense, because ultimately, right, if you're on a desert island, you're going to need some form of comfort, and a really, really comfortable pair of slides is going to be, because I mean, anytime I go on holiday to a tropical climate, you're going to see people in slides, or you're going to see people in flip flops. So that's almost a guaranteed. It makes a 1,000,000% sense, right? Having something a little bit more protective also makes sense, because you might have to get down and dirty, might have to you might have to wade in the water a little bit, do some fishing, climb up something, you know. So yeah, definite logic to what you're saying. So yeah, I'm a fan of it, and I'm here for it, man. So yeah, definitely can get down with that, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do some quick fires, right? We're going to do some quick fires, slightly modified. There are some regular questions in there, but they are slightly modified as well, because I do still want to understand your perspective in terms of some of the bigger sneaker brands, right? Just to get your perspective. I just want to understand like which way you would go, right? So there's going to be a few of those in there, but there's going to be some Crocs stuff in there as well. I've customized it, and who knows what else will be in there, right? So let's go through. Are you ready to do this, Doogie?
I'm ready, and a disclaimer, I hope I don't offend anybody's favorite brands, because like I'm clearly biased towards Crocs, right? So quick fire, I'm just going to say what's at the top of my head, so I'm ready when you are.
With everything he's doing, he's saying it with chest. No apologies necessary. People, if you get in your feelings, tell your mom it's cool. It's okay. Nobody cares. Let's do this. Okay, we're starting off in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to start with Nike or Adidas.
Oh, geez. So what I'm supposed to say which I would choose?
Which one would you go for? Which one, if you had to?
I would have to go towards Nike, only just solely out of my respect for Giannis. That's it.
I respect it. Any reason's a good reason, right? I think this is a good one for me, right? Crocs or Birkenstocks?
Come on now. Too easy. Crocs, of course. Crocs all day, every day, till I die, unless Birkenstocks came out and said, here's $1 billion to represent us. And then I'll be like, all right, $1 billion, count me in.
I'm in. I respect it. Quick question, right? With Nike and Adidas, can you wear, right, if you're wearing clothes, right, and you're wearing shoes, can you wear Nike and Adidas together, yes or no? Just in your opinion.
In my opinion, I say yes. And the reason why is because I've actually talked to people about this before, and they usually say, oh, it's tacky, it's ugly. And then my usual response is, you only care about, and oh, we have a guest that just jumped in my lap. One of my dogs. She heard my question about me wanting a saber, but
shut up.
So my response is very practical to that question. A lot of like people, when they say it's too tacky or it's ugly to mix brands like that, I'm like, you're only saying that because you're worried about how other people are going to perceive you by mixing and matching. And to me, that's not being authentic. If I'm comfortable and there's a nice Nike jacket and some nice Adidas pants, I don't care about what other people think. I'm dressing to be comfortable for me. You know what I mean? And I know it's like a taboo in the community of dressing well and dressing nice.
Major taboo.
Listen, I dress for me and me only. I'm okay with it. So that long-winded answer,
I respect it. I
I
respect it,
don't,
man.
yeah, I
It's
don't
a,
think it's a problem. Everyone else does, though. I'm just out there.
all right, man. I respect everyone else. Everyone else. You'd be surprised. Some people are out here just being wild, but yeah, a lot of people have issues with it, me included. But I'm old school, so I think that's probably the reason why we played by different rules back in the day. YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok?
So I'm gonna go with Instagram, and the reason why is I'm so basic, and I'm horrible with technology. I've tried YouTube. That's not even the least of my issues. TikTok is impossible to navigate. It's so confusing. It's always glitchy. I can't keep up with the kids these days and making all these videos and figuring out how to edit. It's just too much, man. Instagram, so simple. I wear a pair of Crocs or I buy a pair of Crocs, boom, snap a photo, now it's up. The end. I don't have to get fancy. I don't have to get pretty. And one of the biggest things about like everybody has like an image for whatever their brand is, or like for me it's like in the sneaker culture, my image is that I don't care and that I'm cool with doing whatever makes me happy, right? And part of that is if you go through like my entire Instagram, it's like it's no filters, no posing, it's just life as it happens. I take my camera or my phone, boom, click. I don't have to spice it up. I don't have to make it dolled out. I like things authentically as they are. So a lot of people like your photos are so low budget and your lighting is horrible. I'm like, that's the point. I'm taking things as they are in the moment. I don't need to put makeup on my pictures to make them look prettier. Because in my opinion, everything is its most beautiful self when you're in your original state. So I enjoyed that pair of Crocs in that moment
I
as
appreciate
it
that.
was. Like that. So Instagram is just so easy. So easy.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What is your favorite collaboration?
Collaborative of all time. Woo! Man, I
Yeah,
would have to give you a few because asking for my favorite collaboration is like low key asking me which is my favorite pair. Like, I'll be honest, I love all the Balenciaga collaborations. I know that it's a controversial brand for a lot of people, but I like specifically like how they've branched off with
Mm-hmm.
their high top boots. I like the designs of their slides, and then even the silliest collaboration they've ever done with Balenciaga was their high heels, which to me was just like out of this world silly, which is what the brand is completely about. Um,
Oof,
yeah, it's
crazy.
yeah. And obviously Salehi, we got to give a shout out to him and everything he's done for the sneaker community. I mean, the Pollux line, the Juniper line that's upcoming, everything about both the clogs and the slides. Who knows what else they have in store. If I'm correct, they signed a 2-year, I believe it was, contract at the end of 2023. So to the very least, we have him as head of the Pollux line till end of 2025, hopefully longer. And you got to think that they're going to constantly be cooking up the next
Mm,
crazy awesome design. So definitely those are some of my top favorite
very
collaborators
cool.
with Crocs.
Okay, I'll let you elaborate on that one, but we're gonna get back to the quick fires
Oh,
now.
sorry,
We're gonna
sorry.
get
Quick
back to the
fire,
quick
quick fire,
fires. That's
quick fire.
absolutely fine. No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna let you off. I'm gonna let you off because it's a hard question. But this one shouldn't be so hard. Laces or slip-ons?
Slip-ons. Slip-ons. That's bad.
I respect it. I respect it. Do you customize your shoes or are you straight factory settings?
I don't want to. I'll give you a partial quick fire. I usually do it straight, just like plain. But here's the thing: is because Crocs are so customizable. When you say, "Do I customize?" Like gibbets are hand in hand with Crocs, so you gotta add some gibbets depending on the pair. So I'm 50-50.
I get it.
Like it's different because like when you have like Nikes, right? Like you can't really
Okay.
customize them unless you paint them or something. You know.
Yeah, as much. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. I'm interested to get your perspective on this. Retro or innovation?
Innovation. Innovation all day. It's so hard
Love
for
it.
me not to
Love it.
elaborate because I always have something to say.
But no, that's fine. That's good, and we can talk about it after as well. Flip flops, sliders, or clogs.
I'm going to go with clogs, number 1, slides, number 2, flip flops, number 3. Crocs does make all 3, but in that order.
I like that. Socks or barefoot?
Socks and Crocs. I'm one of those all day long.
Socks and Crocs all day. Socks and Crocs, man. Comfort or style?
Comfort, 1,000,000% of the time with everything I do in life.
Fresh and clean or beaten and battered?
Fresh and clean. It's inevitable when you have as many pairs of Crocs that I have.
I get it. Right. Are you hand washing or are you sticking them in the washing machine?
Hand washing, sticking in the washing machine is a big no because of the cross-like material, the foam, the rubber. They can distort them, so you got to take it with care. Handle TLC, tender loving care.
I like that. Tender loving care, man. Treat them with that care, you know. All right. Interesting. Lows, mids, or highs?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to, because we're quick fire. I'm gonna go with lows. I have to, just because most Crocs are lows just by default.
Triple blacks or white on whites?
Triple blacks. That's quick fire. I just don't like getting them dirty. That's the only reason why.
And that was your first pair, right?
Plain black. Yup.
Cool. Right. The last question I'm gonna ask you is: I've got my Crocs here, right? With gibbets on. I want to get your out of 10. Out of 10, I want to know your score out of 10 for my Crocs with my gibbets.
What do we got? We got a banana.
Please excuse the stains.
We got a heart,
right?
and then a bowl of something. Is that pasta? Is that cereal? Oatmeal? What is that?
So I'll talk you through the gibbet. So this gibbet, right? I don't know if you can see it. It says plantain because I'm from West Africa, and plantain is life, right? In addition to plantain, any true West African will tell you that you need a bowl of fresh jollof, right? So that's jollof rice there, right? And I've got a love heart, a CDG love heart on one foot as well. That's my little girl's favorite one. So yeah, what are you saying with these ones?
I'm giving you a 10 out of 10, and I like the story you gave me about the cultural aspect. When you said plantains is life, that's what Crocs is all about, is identifying with what you love, whatever it makes up that life. I like the way you put it. They're also super clean. You take care of them. To keep bright whites that clean, and I'm assuming you don't have as many pairs as I do. So for you to keep them clean,
Nah,
it means you gave them love, and you made them how you wanted to rep them. 10 out of 10 for you, brother.
I respect that, man. And to be fair, they could be a lot cleaner, if I'm being honest. But no, I like it. I think the ring light over here is helping me out, making it's shining bright, making them look real nice and clean and that. So I'll take that, bro. 10 out of 10. I'll take that all day. You get me, man? But yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you, because obviously, and this is the last question, so obviously feel free to sort of elaborate as much as you want. But like, in terms of the word sneakerhead, we've mentioned sneakers and the crossover between sneakers and Crocs and sort of how that works. But I firmly believe that like Crocs form part of that world. But in your opinion, what is a sneakerhead?
Whew. See, I tried. Now I have a little bit of it's a little playful gripe with the sneakerhead community because they don't count me in it, and I don't think that's fair to me. So hear me out. I've tried, even like on platforms like Reddit, I've tried to join sneakerhead communities, and they kick me out and they don't let me because they don't believe Crocs are part of it, and I do, and this is why. And when we say sneaker, we don't really mean all sneakers, right? Like I know people who wear Nikes, Jordans, Uggs. The men Ugg boots are a big thing among men right now, and slides, right? but they consider like their Nike slides part of their collection, right? Are slide sneakers? No. I think it's because there's still those old school heads that are unwilling to accept innovation and change, and this kind of goes hand in hand with your retro versus innovation. People are stuck in old traditions, old ways, old definitions. I just think that we can't call it the footwear community. That just doesn't. It just sounds ugly. So we still keep calling it sneakerheads. We're not going to call
Yeah,
it footwear heads, but people in the Croc community are starting to make the Croc head label stick. We call it we're Croc heads, man, and we're kind of like I said, like the silly cousin that lives in another country, living his best life, doing his own thing. But I consider Crocs and the Croc community to be part of sneaker culture, sneakerheads, Croc heads. We're all one and the same. Eventually, that door is going to open. Eventually, one day, some brand is going to bridge the gap between sneakerheads and crockheads, and we're all going to come together for good. We'll figure it out. I mean, we're much closer now in 2024 than we were a few years ago, but 100% without a doubt,
massively.
I'm part of the sneaker. I'm a sneakerhead, man. It's just my preference is Crocs.
No, I completely, and that was what I was going to ask next. I was going to ask you if you're a sneakerhead, but I completely agree. I completely agree, and I think like having sort of like, and I come at it from the same direction as you. I think sometimes we can be a little bit snooty and a little bit snobby, and we can say, you know what, does this sort of like fit the normal criteria, or does this fit the normal sort of like template of what we would expect from a sneakerhead? And ultimately, what I expect from a sneakerhead is that love and that passion for the kicks. These are real things that just go on our feet, and I mean, it's a bit different in your case than it is to just somebody that just had a few pairs of Crocs and a few pairs of slides. Like, would they call themselves a sneakerhead? Maybe, maybe not. But for somebody to have gone to the extent of of purchasing through over 3,000 pairs of Crocs, bro, if you're not a sneakerhead, I actually don't know what is, bro. Like, legit, you bought your way into the game.
Listen, it's been a
100%. You
long
have to put
journey.
respect on the name, bro, because ultimately, bro, it's not been easy. It's not been easy. And no matter how it started, like, we have to respect where we are and what we've done. And yes, they may not have the same kind of history. They may not have the same kind of sort of lineage. It's not the same. It's just a different thing. But with Salehi Bembry on board, with the Juniper that's around the corner, like, there is going to come to a time where Crocs are going to be making kicks. And that, I mean, and seeing as how they've started, it may become an issue. It may become a problem for certain sneakerheads who want to start utilizing those shoes because those shoes look really good. So I am not of the opinion that Croc heads are different to sneakerheads. I believe the umbrella should encapsulate all forms of kicks. And yeah, man, yeah, Doogie Lish Sandtiger, with the name that is the deepest name I've ever said in my life. 100% sneakerhead, bro. So yeah, congratulations, man. And you know what?
Appreciate you.
Congratulations on just having an amazing outlook on life and a really, really cool sort of perspective on the game, man. Like, it was so cool to speak to you, man. Bro, we've come to the end of Kicks Chronicles. Your interview, it's been amazing. I've really, really enjoyed it. Please do me a favor. Tell the millions and millions of people that are about to watch this and listen to this, right? Tell all of those people how they can get in contact with you, how they can support what you're doing, how they can keep up to date with how many Crocs you've got in the yard, bro.
So I'm most active on my Instagram. So I like people like you should make a TikTok. You'll do much better there. But to me, it's not about that. I'm not trying to be TikTok famous. I'm just trying to post my love for Crocs, or in your case, kicks. Man, I'm a big with my Croc kicks. We'll call it. So my Instagram at Doogie Lish, DOOGIELISH. Just find me there. I have my live Croc counter, which is in at the top of my bio. Every single time I buy a pair, I immediately update it. I have a whole Excel document with every pair, so it's never off. So first thing I do is update the counter on my Instagram at Doogie Lish. Then I update my spreadsheet. Then I update my notes on my phone, so that way it's always consistent and accurate. So I always post new and upcoming pairs. I'm like the Croc whisperer. So if you have other people who watch your show that are big into Crocs, man, if they want to see the latest that are up and coming, and like I said, I hunt all over, and I usually get the sneak peeks, and I'll post some sneak peeks. So it's a journey. It's going to keep going. It's only up from here, and hopefully one day the sneakerhead community will accept me.
If PROZECH has a vote, I'm voting you in, broski. Just know that for now, man. You got my vote all day. Once again, yeah, this has just been an amazing episode. I really appreciate you, bro. People, this has been another episode of Kicks Chronicles with our amazing guest, Doogie Lish Sandtiger, the Croc King, the Croc Hunter, the Croc Head of all things, you know. Like, he's shared his time and his amazing story with us. Guys, make sure to go and support what he's doing over there on Instagram. And while you're supporting him, feel free to give your boy a follow, PROZECH on Instagram and all major platforms, as they say. So yeah, man, another amazing interview. We've come to the end, people. If you keep on supporting us, 5-star reviews, comments, shares, likes, like, we keep on getting these amazing guests, you know. And guys, remember, Kicks Chronicles 100 is just around the corner. Keep sending your suggestions as to who you think could be an amazing guest for Kicks Chronicles 100, and I'll make sure to start reaching out. I need to start doing that. Okay. And yeah, guys, like, it's been amazing. Doogie, once again, thank you so much for your time, my bro. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, until I see you, man, down the roads, everybody stay blessed.
Thank you, brother. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicks Chronicles. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, and all that good stuff. And remember, full video version is available on YouTube, audio versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.